The Duke, Lord's Legacy. This is a reimagining of the game The Duke, which I haven't played, so I will not be able to compare. It is a strictly two-player game in which players will move game pieces around the board, trying to capture the Duke of the opponent, the game piece representing the Duke. And if you capture the opponent's Duke, you win the game. It can be seen as a variant of chess with more randomness in it. It doesn't take much more random than chess, but with considerably more randomness, and also with other interesting elements, such as the game pieces not having the same game functions on all times. What? I know, fun. Now, as I said, you have a piece representing the Duke, which you want to protect. And at the beginning, you start with the Duke and two footmen. The game takes place on this grid. You probably had figured that out. Each player sets up their Duke in one of the two central squares on the row facing them directly, and then you also start the game with two footmen that are going to be adjacent to your Duke, and adjacent here only counts as adjacent along a side, orthogonally, not diagonally. Each game piece has two sides, and you can see there's a symbol there at the center, and there is a similar symbol, but kind of like the opposite, the negative, on the other side. When a game piece enters the game, you place it with this side face up, with that symbol there, and then after the piece is activated for movement or for other actions, you turn it to the other side, like in that case. Pretty interesting, because that means that now you have different opportunities. The grid tells you what the game piece can do. So there's definitely a certain tempo, there's definitely a certain rhythm here, because units cannot do everything, all the same things. Every time that they activate, they switch back and forth. And the difference between the two sides can be pretty important. Each player also has a bag full of other game pieces, and gameplay is exceedingly simple. During your turn, you can choose to activate one of your pieces or to draw a new one. If you recruit a new troop, then you simply get whatever it is that you drew randomly. You had to place it adjacent to your Duke, and suppose I decide to place my Marshal here, and the opponent maybe also is recruiting, and they recruited a Bowman instead, and they want to place it there. Well, they have to place it there. That's the only empty spot next to a Duke, because all game pieces that are recruited will go next to a Duke. So, during your turn, you either recruit a new unit from your bag, or you activate a unit. When you activate a unit, you simply execute one of the moves indicated on the grid. And if by moving you're able to end movement in the same space as an enemy game piece, that piece is captured and removed from the game. Similar to, chess or chess. For example, the footman here, those circles indicate that the footman can move to one of those areas. And I decide, for example, to move the footman there, and then it's flipped to the other side. Now, as you can see, the footman could move diagonally or even move by two, but without jumping. The black dot means that you cannot jump. And say, then I decide, but for example, the bowman, as you can see, has these empty circles. It means that you can move there, jumping over other pieces if there are other pieces in the way. And suppose then the bowman decides to move there, we flip it, and this is the new template. This new template shows another symbol, which is the strike symbol, which means, suppose actually the bowman is in that position there, the bowman can be activated and can attack that square without moving. It still counts as activated, so it still flips to the other side. And so there would be a case of an effect that is used without moving the game piece, which happens from time to time. But the majority of effects, and you have a good play rate here, require movement. So you have from moving to that spot without jumping, moving to the spot indicated by the circle, jumping other pieces if you have to. Same idea here. Slide actually moves any distance in that direction, so the Duke could move really far, and when it flips, then it gets to slide in the other direction. Whee! And that would probably be a fairly bad idea, but the Duke could do so. So sliding means move any distance in that direction without jumping, and jump slide. same thing, but jumping over game pieces. Command, you can move other pieces that will not flip, will not count as activated, between spaces indicated with that symbol on your own template, as you can see there for the general. Strike, again, hit without moving. Dread, if you have a dread symbol on a template, game pieces in that symbol, they are frozen in place, they cannot move, they cannot do anything, they cannot be captured also. And defense simply indicates that you cannot be captured by game pieces moving through squares indicated by the defense icon on your template. So this is the idea, very simple, but of course there's a lot of meat as game pieces will have vastly different template doing very different things. The seer also a little bit confusing, and then the other side also kind of tricky. Hey, the seer is a betrayer. That's the side you should be on. And so I just wanted to show you some other pieces. The Countess, for example, she can command between those two pieces. On this other side, those spaces, I mean, she can command different spaces on the other side, and so on and so forth. But the idea remains how the general powerful piece. Oh, this is the starting side. Big command ability. So the general idea is this: move a piece, or I should say activate it and resolve the activation, then flip it to the other side, or recruit a new game piece. This is the basic game, which is perfectly symmetrical. You also have a variant. You will replace some of those game pieces with these other pieces. You have the Camelot piece that goes on the board. It's a location, and if a piece controls Camelot, there are certain advantages. For example, you cannot strike a game piece in Camelot or through Camelot, plus other abilities. And this is basically Arthurian legend. So one side will control Arthur and the knights, Lancelot, the Parzival, also have Guinevere. And the other side has Morgana and Mordred. And so here, the general idea is still that you're trying to kill the leader of the opponent, Arthur, if you play Morgana, Morgana if you play Arthur. But now the two sides are not the same, and they have different powers and abilities based on the different templates of these unique pieces. Oh, hi. We're talking about the Duke, right? So, the Duke. The Duke Lore's Legacy. When I set it up and read the rules, I thought like, oh, this is gonna be a cute little filler. Little did I know that this game would be very captivating. Maybe it's also the excitement in times of pandemic of playing the game against another adult gamer outside, under the sun, with masks, at a distance. Because it's really not a game that I think would have worked very well playing with my daughters, that are my main opponents these days, or even my wife. The overall rules are simple, but she's not a strong gamer. She likes very simple, very streamlined games. The idea of learning how each piece works would not have worked for her. But playing it with another adult gamer passionate about gaming, this game became disproportionately entertaining. I was thinking about a simple, light chess variant, but this game had so much more to offer. Because, well, making it all work is a lot of work, but it is fun work. The randomness may bother you at the beginning, and I'll tell you, I was a little surprised because some game pieces are just objectively better than others. It's not like whatever you get is going to give you different ways of being awesome. If you draw the sage sucks. That's just the way it is. And if you draw some other game pieces, they're awesome, and that's how awesome they are. So there is that random element. There is the element of the learning curve in which you had to figure out not just what they do, what each piece does is written there, but of course you have to remember what the other side does, which is major, and also you have to figure out how to use them to your advantage. This is a game that you're going to learn by play. The first couple of plays is just going to become familiar with the pieces so that you know by playing, that's the easiest way, what the other side does and how to turn them, flip them around like a burger at the right time. But once that element clicks, and actually already that training element is fun enough, but once that element clicks, then the game is so subtle. It has so many interesting wrinkles, and sometimes it may be a little bit anticlimactic because one player makes a mistake. You didn't see that your duke was threatened, and that's you lose the game. Like, oh, okay. We had games that lasted like 5 minutes, and that's okay. Then we're gonna play another game, because in any case a game is gonna last maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes if it's an epic confrontation. But then again, you have some shorter games, and this is definitely one of those games that gets in that "why don't we try one more time" kind of mood, because it's so simple to set up. Put away every game piece that is not a duke and two footmen, and the game is set up. So easy to set up, so quick to play, such a nice pace, such a nice back and forth, and yet such interesting puzzles. It's fun to try some new crazy strategy and see it doesn't pay off. Still fun to see the way in which you failed, and you learn something about the game and about yourself. And the game plays differently with not many game pieces on the board, which is entirely possible, or when you have a ton of game pieces on the board, which also may happen. It's fun to see, different from chess, that the duke is not just, as opposed to the king in chess, just standing there looking all worried, maybe taking a little step here, a little step there, looking worried. The duke can get stuff. They can get stuff done. Can kick some butt with his long moves. Again, you gotta time it well, because oh, I'm going that direction, but I don't wanna, because the piece I wanna capture is right there. How can I fix that? But the duke, that is the piece that you want to protect, can actually be a powerful attacker. But of course, then you're gambling, because now you put the piece maybe in a dangerous position. The fact that the piece that you're protecting is just a little wimp, but can, if you want, be used as a powerful attacker, while at the same time you expose yourself to danger. It's a great element of the design, because it adds that extra level, that extra layer of decision. But it's great that you have a little puzzle that changes every time, because it's unlikely that you will use every game piece every time. Even if you did, they would come out of the bag in different ways, presenting you with different tactical puzzles every time. But most likely you will experience the game as a game that has vast replay value, because of different combinations that will come out. And again, some games will be thrown out by lady luck, because you keep getting the worst pieces and the opponent keeps getting the best ones. But that's gonna be the exception, not the rule, and overall that's not gonna reduce your experience, the quality of your experience, by much. The Duke Lord's Legacy, not as simple as the rules will let you imagine, just due to the unique configurations and grids and patterns that you have to learn about each game piece, but you're gonna learn as you play, so that's gonna be fun. Definitely fun and entertaining. Again, not as light as it seems. I would recommend it mainly to committed gamers, but once you put in the homework of learning the game pieces, you have such an interesting tactical challenge which can go in so many different ways. It's an incredibly flexible experience with a huge variety of gameplay, and of course also very captivating gameplay. And when you think you learned it all, then you start playing the Arthurian Legend game, and the game is rejuvenated by it, because you have a whole different set of problems, possibilities, and constraints there. Also non-symmetrical gameplay, so once you learn how to play Morgana perfectly, you switch sides, and now you have to learn the Arthur side. So huge replay value, a lot of value in this box, because you have a game that is solid and is almost infinite. Those are big words, but it's massively replayable, because it just lends itself to so many different combinations. I'm very happy with the Duke Lord's Legacy.